We're live. So, good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us again on another Saturday afternoon where we'll be discussing another topic and with my amazing LSI Youth Ambassadors, as I usually call them. Um, this afternoon, we'll be talking about now that I'm in high school, what next? Um, Before we go ahead to proceeding to today, I just wanted to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone that reached out to us via text messages, WhatsApp, on our Instagram page, telling us how wonderful we are. We see you. We appreciate you. Please always remember that it's not me. It's about this amazing young adults, teenagers here giving back to their community. Like I said, we have an amazing topic this morning, an interesting one. We've had people reach out various times to say my kids are in primary school or elementary school. How do I prepare them for high school? What do we need to do? And I've also had people that are in high school, parents reach out to say, my kids are struggling. What are your opinions? What are your suggestions? What can they do? How can I come into the picture and help my kids in this phase? And that's why we're here. You will not be hearing from me because obviously I'm not in high school, but I have amazing young adults and teenagers here that were in high school at one time or the other or are currently in high school, and we'll be talking about that topic this topic this afternoon. So hello everyone, welcome once again. And I know you've seen Moise, you've seen Nefemi, you've seen Fikon, you've seen Eitade before now, so I wouldn't go to that. Let's introduce ourselves. We've been introducing ourselves for a while now, so you should be used to us. But so I'm just going to get into the question. And my first question would go to Fikun. Fikun, I know that you came into Canada at probably towards the tail end of high school. What was there any shock for you when you came in regards to the mode of learning here in Canada and where you came from?
Okay, so the learning experience was quite different from how it was in Nigeria. Um, Teachers are more willing to help, so don't be shy to ask for help. If you need help, ask a teacher, ask your peers, to help you with it. They'll be more than willing to help. And one thing, be close with your guidance counselors. They're there to help you. Don't think, oh, it's a guidance counselor, and why would I go and meet them? Meet them. They will guide you. That's why they're there. They're there to guide you. To help you. Like if you're just coming to high school, or you're kind of lost in the middle, they'll help you. Like write a list of things that you need help with. Go and meet them with that list so that they'll be able to help you with specific things. Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question. I was telling someone just recently, I think sometimes this week, about the system we're in. The system we're in is that you have to reach out. You have probably one or two guardian counselors that will be attending to over 500 students, sometimes over 1,000 students, sometimes. So nobody is going to come look for you, right, to give you information. You have to be able and willing to walk up and show up in order for you to get that information that you need. That I totally agree with. Thank you, Fikun, for that for that answer. And now, Nifemi, did you at any time? I know you're now in university, but I know you did also go through high school. So tell us about your experience in high school.
Yeah, so I think for me, I started off high school in the IB program, but then when we moved away from Brampton to our new town, I wasn't able to do that anymore. And I think Fikun brings up a really good point about utilizing your guidance counselors, because coming into high school, I find that there's this increased pressure to sort of know what you want to do you have options and you have the ability to select the courses that you want. So I think for me coming into high school, I kind of knew what career path I wanted to go on, and I know I wanted to go into the sciences. So I think the first thing that I did, and I think it's something that I would recommend, like Fikun said, is going to your guidance counselor and being like, you know what, I think this is what I want to do. What courses should I be taking? What things would you recommend that I look into, like clubs or community things that I could get involved with? And oftentimes they have a lot of resources. And then from there, you can sort of tailor your experience to what you want. So obviously, your grades are super important in high school. And it's important, I feel like, to maintain a decent enough average that gives you options, that gives you choice when it comes to university. But I also think high school is a really, really great opportunity to explore what it is you want to do and what you want your future to look like. So taking advantage of the clubs in high school, taking advantage of the community volunteering that they ask you to do is really important, not just, for to meet the requirements, but it helps you figure out, especially if you're in the stage of I don't know what I want to do yet. I'm kind of confused. It's really, really important to take and use those opportunities. So I think to sort of summarize, talk to your guidance counselor in the beginning of your journey so she can help and guide you. And then you can work to find ways to both balance, I'm getting good grades, I'm picking the courses I need, and exploring the other aspects that are going to be important for university and your career later on.
Thank you, Nifemi. And just to kind of piggyback on what both of you have said, again, I cannot overemphasize it, especially for parents right now. If you're going to be listening later or you're listening to us, your child has to be in the face of the guidance counselor, because the more they get familiar with that individual, the more they know who your child is, the more they have a relationship with the child. And when any opportunity arises, the first person that comes to their head is, oh, Nifemi is always here asking questions. Nifemi is always wanting information. So, oh, this is an amazing opportunity. So I'm just going to call Nifemi into the office and ask her if she's interested. Nifemi, you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
and I was gonna say this is the exact thing that happened to me. So the first scholarship that I ever won for university tuition was because my guidance counselor, they receive information, and a lot of community engagements send them information. And if they know that there's a student that fits this criteria or would be a great fit for this opportunity, they will contact you. So the first scholarship I ever won was because my guidance counselor sent it to me. She supported me through the application. She wrote me a reference letter for the application. And I think I was one of the youngest scholarship recipients that year. I was in grade 11. I wasn't even grade 12 yet. And they gave me a scholarship for university. So 100%, it's really good to build a relationship with your guidance counselors and your teachers.
Thank you, Nifemi. Tade, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Just very similarly to what Nifemi has said, I know for my university applications, I required several reference letters because I had supplementary applications. And so even if you don't need help, even if you understand the content, even if you kind of have a good idea of what's going on, I think it's still really, really vital to build those strong relationships with teachers and staff, because at the end of the day, when your university applications roll around, you never know what type of reference letters or application letters you may need. And it's very beneficial to already have those predetermined relationships in your back pocket. So when application season rolls around, you're not scrambling to find someone to write a reference letter for you.
Thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense. And we all have agreed and we all have said it is important that you have relationships with your teachers, with your guidance counselor, with your principal, because it is who they see that they know. And when you are in a community where you have over 500 students, 1,000 students, I know that it will be difficult for a guidance counselor in court to remember Bumi if she has only met Bumi once, and she would meet 500 students once every week. So the more you form that relationship with your teachers and your guiding counselors, the better it will be for you. So this is also a take home for parents as well. You also have to be involved in your child's life when it comes to academics, when it comes to school. You're finding out, okay, what are you doing? Have you spoken to your guidance counselor? Do you want me to write an email? Do you want me to meet your teacher? Do you have any issues you want us to talk about? Those are ways that you can also get involved and also show your child that you're involved in their academic life, or their life when it comes to when they're in high school, and also help them in this regard. Muiz, so when you were in high school, was there any particular challenges that you felt you went through, and if you did, how were you able to overcome?
So yeah, I initially when I started high school, like grade 9, I kind of just focused on school studies. I didn't really get involved much with like clubs or whatever. And like as everybody's mentioned, guidance counselors, I didn't really communicate that much with them. And it was like up until like late in year in grade 10, that's when I started to I noticed that like I could get some information. I could get for grade 11, grade 12. I wanted to be sure of what I was going to do because I think at that point I started to realize, oh, I don't exactly know what I want to do yet. So talking to my guidance counselor then helped me a lot. They showed me all the classes I need to take, all the courses, and like they kind of helped me guide me down a path to what I want to do. And then also not just guidance counselors, but like I started joining more clubs and teams. I think that really helps because like you allows you to talk to more people that are like in a similar situation as you. And just talking to the people, they help me kind of like I guess understand, see different perspectives, and like just making that network allowed me like volunteer opportunities. If somebody had a volunteer opportunity, they could be like, hey, Louise, I have this chance opportunity right now. Do you want to join with me or whatever? Stuff like that. Just like getting more involved. Everything overall helped my high school experience. And yeah, that I'd say that was a challenge that I think that I was able to overcome. Just being more open, talking to people, and getting more involved.
So I'm just going to quickly ask a follow-up question based on what you just shared with us. You had challenges when you got into high school. You weren't that involved. You kept to yourself. So you said it was at grade 10 that you began to think of, okay, what am I going to do, the programs and all that. So how did you get to the point where you knew that you needed to approach your guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor was probably a good option to start from? And how did you get to that point?
So at that time, I hadn't really thought much about what I was gonna do specifically, and it was when I started noticing like a lot of my friends, a lot of my classmates, they were taking courses like, for example, they were taking grade 11 courses in grade 10, and at that time, I didn't even know you could do that. Like I started realizing there was a lot of like small details and stuff I didn't know, and that was when I was kind of just I I was a bit not stuck, just I realized there was a lot I just didn't know. And I asked help my parents. They helped as much as they could, but like there's also some stuff parents may not know, like small details. So like I said, just talking to people, asking teachers, they recommended me to the guidance counselor, and from there, everything was able to go more smoothly.
Thank you so much. So why I asked that question is because the peculiarity of our community, we have a lot of us immigrating into Canada while the kids are in grade 10, grade 11. Some people come in where the kids are in grade 12, right? And this information sometimes are just not staring at us. You have to look for it in order for you to get it. You have to kind of look for those information. Oh, my kids actually need to have the 40 volunteer hours in order for them to graduate from high school. They have to, put in their application for colleges and university at a particular time, and not do it late, because when they begin to do it late, then it has some, ripple effect on the whole thing. So the reason that was the reason why I asked the question, because it also boils down to what we had said from the beginning. You actually have to find this information, and the only way you can find the information is getting involved within the school system. You have to put yourself out there. Let your guidance counselor know that there's somebody called Bumi in school that needs help, right? Your teacher know that, okay, I'm going to miss class tomorrow because ABC, right? Not just, just take off from class and feel nobody's going to know, nobody's going to care. Because when you have issues with that course, it is because you would have built a relationship with your teacher that the teacher would understand and appreciate that. Oh, yes, Bumi was not in class yesterday, but Bumi did explain to me that she was not going to make it to class, right? And the teacher is able to give you that leeway and say, oh, you can retake the test, or you can do A or B, because I do understand the situation and why Bumi missed class. So very important that we'll learn that our child has to be involved within the school community is one takeaway from what we have been talking about today. Naomi, welcome, darling. Thank you for being here. So I know that the last session we had, you did actually mention the importance, or the importance of having that relationship with the teachers in your school, and how it kind of helped you build a community outside school as well, opened doors for you as well. So my question to you is, how did you get comfortable to build that relationship between yourself and this teacher that began to now mentor you things outside of school that would have been, or that have been beneficiary to you?
So for me, I was blessed with an amazing Black coach, Ashley Montague. She introduced me to a lot of things outside, as I previously mentioned, like organizations within the city. For you to get to that point with that teacher or that guidance counselor, whoever it is, it's consistency, right? It's just showing up, it's being there, it's saying like, hey, I'm just here, I don't really have anything to do, or I don't know help, but if you do, I'm here, ready for you to like make use of me. You know what I mean? Like, show that you are someone that is hardworking, so that when that time comes, they think, oh my gosh, I would love to have this person on my team. You know, and you're going to be not only in volunteer work, but like in your work, in your work, whatever it is. Like, as we were talking about, like, if your teacher knows you and something happens to go wrong one day, like maybe you miss a test, as you previously mentioned, they're more likely to be willing to communicate with you and to be able to be like, hey, like, this is what we can do. These are our next steps to ensure that you succeed in that class or that activity or whatever it is. So for you to build that, like, you just kind of have to show up. You have to talk to the teacher, communicate with them, like little things like staying after class, sending emails, stopping by on your lunch period to ask questions. That shows that person or that employee within this community that you care about your success, and they're going to want to care about your success as well, because everyone wants to be involved. Wants to be able to say, oh, hey, that girl on the news, I taught her back in grade 8. Or, hey, that girl that you saw over there that was helping out, oh yeah, like I put her onto this organization. Do you know what I mean? So things like that. That's the best way to go about it.
Thank you. So my next question, and anybody that wants to take it can please go for it. I have often learned that transition from grade 10 to grade 11 is a little bit difficult. Now, I don't know how true that is. Where are we getting that sound from? Because if you're not talking, can you please mute yourself? Perfect. So I've heard that transitioning from grade 10 to 11 is a little bit difficult when it has to do with courses and all that. So is it true? Let me ask that first. Then we'll ask if it is true. Why do you believe so? And how were you able to overcome that? Fikun, you have your hands up. We're all going to have to take that question.
Okay, before I answer that, I just want to touch upon what Naomi said before. So yes, you have to like build that relationship with your teacher. With me, what I did was So in grade 9 when I first came, so I didn't like have any friends, right? So I stayed in like the guidance office during my lunch. I'm not saying that you should do that, but like, just pop in there once in a while, say hi to them, discuss with them about, like your classes, just like be more friendly, be more open to them, so like, they know to help you. And for my math, like I used to go during my lunch breaks to my math class, just to work there, or, to talk to my teacher. So but I was able to build that relationship with her, and she wrote me a reference letter when I was applying for the student trustee position for the HWDSP board. So she was able to write me a reference letter, and my guidance counselors have also offered to write me reference letters for scholarships and for nomination for other things. And now for the question. Well, I'd say it's pretty tough, yeah, going from grade 10 to 11, because that's when okay, I need to start looking in. I need to focus. Like I can't be playing with my grades, because grade 10 and 9 grades don't necessarily matter when you're going to university. And then you might realize later, like maybe second semester, like, oh, I actually need to sit up and focus. So what I did, and it might not work for everyone, but what I did, I took some grade 11 courses in grade 10, the ones I knew that I could take in grade 10, that to take off the load of grade 11, so I don't have like math, science, English, everything packed up in one semester. So I took grade 11 English and math second semester of grade 10. So for my grade 11, I could take like cooking class, hairstyling classes, just to have some easy classes on the side, while I have like science, like physics, chemistry, biology, or whatever. So just try to see how you could like make your workload easier.
Thank you, Fikun. I would go to Eitade. I'm going to go round everyone because I know everybody's experience is unique to them. So, Eitade.
Thank you. For me, I did IB all 4 years of high school, so I think that adds an extra layer in terms of difficulty or complexity, just because in grades 9 and 10 of the IB program, you don't write the IB exams, whereas in grades 11 and 12, you do. And your final grade is determined almost exclusively by these final exams. So your coursework doesn't really matter. So the stress for me was on a very interesting level, because I went from having only coursework determining my grades to now having these big 3-4 hour exams determining my grades. And that was a major challenge. And I think the extra level is, like other people have said, because your grade 9 and 10 grades don't necessarily contribute to your university applications, you can get away with taking courses that aren't necessarily very serious. But in grade 11, you then need to say like, okay, what courses do I need to take for university? And doing that research, because every university is very different, finding answers to that I felt was a little bit challenging at times. And it was a major shock when I decided that I wanted to do business. And they were like, well, you need advanced functions and calculus. That got me good, because I was like, oh, I'm done with math. Like, I don't need to take it. And lo and behold, that was a big lie. So in terms of managing these things, I think a couple of things. One, I took summer school all 4 years. So I was able to reduce the number of courses I had during the school year. And the way university applications work is they take your best 6 grades, or your top 6 grades. So at least in Ontario, they take your top 6 grades. So if you take courses during the summer, 1 or 2, that gives you extra courses in case your courses during the school year aren't as high of a course as you'd like. And because you're only taking 1 or 2 courses, you have a lot of time to devote and dedicate to studying extra hard for these courses. So I know a lot of people who took calculus and advanced functions and whatever during the summertime, and that was also very helpful. And the last point I'll say is old habits die hard. So I know your grade 9 and 10 grades don't really matter, but it's important to build those skills of diligence and working hard and perseverance and aiming to push yourself to get good grades early on. So you already build those habits of a hard work ethic. So when grade 11 and 12 rolls around, you're not blown away. It just feels like a continuation of what you've already been doing.
Thank you so much, darling. Naomi?
Okay, so 10 to 11, I feel like it's such a big jump because Well, for me personally, it wasn't as bad because I was in pre-IB for grade 9 and 10. And then after the end of grade 10, I said, never mind, this is not for me. So shout out to you for doing the full 4 years. But no, it's definitely not easy at all. And even going from pre-IB to like regular academic, like it was even still hard just because there's a different level of pressure when you hit grade 11, not necessarily even because of like the work is actually harder, but like it really starts to hit you like, wow, like I'm actually growing up, like I actually need to be serious. Like my schoolwork is my responsibility and I actually reap the repercussions if I do bad now. Like it's not just like, oh, you're gonna go home and your parents will yell at you for your report card. Like I could not go to university, I could have to stay back an extra year. Things like that are scary to think about, especially when some of us are still 15 going into grade 11. So it's kind of crazy. And there's also the fact that like the jumps, even now, because I know they're de-streaming grade 9 and 10, so most of your courses will be open. For the kids who are going from open to academic, they're gonna cry. They will be crying. They will be crying. They will be up at night when it comes to exam season. Because if you're in grade 9 and 10 D-streams, you probably didn't take any exams. When it comes to exam season, for advanced functions or functions, whatever you're taking, if you happen to take grade 12 math and grade 11, that's just what I did. But if you end up with classes like that, or if you stuck with like a terrible semester and it's like math, science, English, whatever, like all your hard classes at once, all your university level classes at once, it's going to be so hard because obviously you're used to doing like a little eliminating, maybe a little presentation, and then you're done and you probably get like a 90 without barely doing it. So it becomes like, it's a difference in the severity of the work you're doing, the importance of the work you're doing, and that's basically it. But I would also say it's definitely preventable, avoidable, and manageable just because, like everyone said, like if you take summer school, like for me right now, I took summer school every year and I have 2 spares. So I'm in grade 12 now and like I'm kind of more relaxed than I probably was in grade 11. So I always recommend taking summer school every summer. I always recommend like getting ahead if you can. Like if you take English, grade 10 English first semester, then grade 11 English second semester, if you know that's something you can do and handle, I always recommend stuff like that. And that's the best way you can go about it.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I just remembered something. I'm going to talk about it when we're done. Nifemi.
Yeah, so I think everybody has sort of touched upon like the major points. I think what makes the jump from 10 to 11 also a little bit scarier or harder is the work does get hard and then you also have choice. And I feel like one, if you don't know what you want to do and you have choice, it's like you're in panic mode because you need to fulfill prerequisites so I always recommend people work backwards. What do I want to do? What university programs or programs do I want to go into? What do they require? What do I have to do in order to take those courses? So in grade 12, in order to take calculus and vectors, you have to take advanced functions. But in order to take advanced functions, you have to take functions in grade 11, right? So in grade 10, you don't have that many choices. I think you have like 2 or 3 courses to choose. I'm like 4 years out of high school now. Please, somebody correct me. You have like a few courses to choose, but grade 11, there's just like mandatory English. And I think, again, there's like, you have more courses to pick, right? So with that is like, I don't know what to do. So that makes it harder. And of course, the courses also get more difficult. But like I said, I think the best way that works is just work backwards and plan out your year, if that makes sense. And when you work backwards, it's a little less overwhelming. And then you can break down, okay, so grade 12, I know I have to take this course, this course, this course. In order for me to take this course in grade 11, I have to take this course. Okay, this might be too heavy to take with this course in this year. That means I should probably do summer school. And for me, I also did SHSM, like health and wellness, and I did a co-op as well. So that's something people can also look into. It gives you hands-on experience. But because I also needed to take like science courses and all my math courses, I also had to make sure that I did my co-op in the summer instead of during the year, right? So it's really, really important. I cannot stress enough to work backwards so you're able to plan out and make your schedule in a way that it's manageable, just so that it's not that like that choice or that so many things going on that makes the transition harder. And then you can just focus on getting the good grades and putting the work in, to understand the new concepts and get used to the workload.
Thank you so much, Nifemi Moise.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to add to what Nifemi said. Basically, working backwards is good. You could also consider like easing your course load. So like for grade 12, I took some grade 12 courses in grade 11 so that I could focus on those grade 12 courses in my grade 11 year, and then the rest of the grade 12 courses in grade 12. Because ultimately, the grade 12 marks are like your main marks for getting into university. So yeah, I'd like look at grade 12 and be and like yeah, like Nifemi said, work backwards and like think of the course load. If the course load looks too heavy, how could you disperse it? Like summer courses, taking some courses in grade 11. So like I just talked to my guidance counselor about like, what courses they would consider difficult or heavy and just moves everything around. So my grade 12 year, I could just focus on those courses and not be burdened with like a heavy load.
Thank you so much. So just to kind of go back on what I've heard all of you say, planning is very important. In high school, you cannot sleep. You have to be on top of your game. You have to plan. And I've heard all of you say that you did summer classes. Daniel is not here, but I can speak for him that he does. Since he entered a high school, he has always taken summer classes. And I think about a month or 6 weeks ago, when we were going through some stuff together about school and we're trying to calculate his credit. I think you guys require 38 credits. Is it 38 or 36 to
It's
graduate from high school?
it's 30.
30, okay, 30. As of now, that he is in grade 11, we already hit the 30 grade credit that he is required to graduate from high school. So if he wants to be done before grade 12, he can be in regards, the courses is meant to take, but and what does that do for him? I can remember one of you did say that what happens with that is you have choices, right? Because you now have completed your 30 credits. You can now pick the 6 credit that you have the most grades, and that would help towards your university application. So please get to it. Make sure you have these conversations with your teachers, your guidance counselors, and see if you can take some classes, and also see how you can plan ahead your courses. Nifemi.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I don't know if it's top 6, but those programs have prerequisites that they look at, right? So some of them are saying we require English, we require calculus, we require whatever, whatever. So they'll look at your marks in those specific courses as well. And then I believe it's like your other top few marks, but keep in mind that there's prerequisite courses that they require. Those are the marks that you're looking at, right?
Mhm.
And I also wanted to say that I think high school is such a medium for exploration too. I took a genocides and crimes against humanities course in grade 12 because I just had an extra course to spare. And I think that was one of the best courses that I take in my entire high school career. And I'm like a sciences major, right? So I think also taking like summer school and getting rid of the hard things and getting those done also gives you room to explore and take courses you otherwise wouldn't be able to fit into your schedule because of all the prerequisites that you have to fill, right? And so in Canada, we're so privileged to have the opportunity to learn and have access to all of these resources. So I would say that even if you're like, oh, I don't want to take summer school, I could do it during the school year, it might be beneficial to just help open up a little bit of space so you can take another course just purely for explorative purposes and to add, to your learning and like actually learn something new for once, something different. So if anybody's out there and is like, I don't want to do summer school, I want my summer, just think about it in a different way as well. You might get benefit, in exploring something else you're not used to.
Thank you, Nifemi. Now that we all have agreed that planning is important and having to sometimes create space for yourself by taking summer school, Nifemi has said it might not be for everybody, but it's a good thing to think about. Now, during this process, was there any support that you felt you needed from your parents at this time? And if you did, what were those support that you felt would have made it easier for you while making all this decision in regards your credit, your courses, that you feel that if mom or dad, can do this, it makes it easier, it makes it less overwhelming and all that. And this is open to everybody as well. So whoever wants to go for it, please do. Nifemi, I see your hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, obviously your parents are not going to know exactly, why you're making certain decisions, or because they're not in the system. It's a different system. So I think we as students need to give our parents grace and often explain to our parents what's going on, why we're making decisions we're doing, keep them looped in, because they might just be saying, "Oh, why aren't you taking mathematics? Why aren't you da 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 da?" But if you walk with them and you walk them through your schedule and what your plan is, that might help them understand as well. And if they have an understanding, then knowing that, hey, this is my heavy semester. I've let you know I have calculus, I have physics, I have a lot of heavy courses this semester. I'm gonna need some support with. I have to stay after school, so I'm gonna need help. Someone picking me up. You know what I mean? So having your parents in your loop in the loop with your schedule, so they can provide the support that you need to do well, whether that be through food, checking in on you if you're okay, giving you space from house chores when it's time for exam season or anything like that. I think that's really important as well. And something I also wanted to touch upon is the fact that, Nigerian parents often, they think it's just the books that are important. Arguably, I feel like in the Canadian education system, this is the same for high school and university. The extracurriculars are just as important. So I encourage parents to have an open mindset when it comes to their kids participating in things like sports and things like other clubs. So don't tell your kids not to do those things because you think books are so important. Again, grain of salt. If you know your child needs to focus more on the academics right now, 100%. But if you feel like they have a good grasp on their academics and are doing well school-wise, some support and understanding in exploring extracurriculars can also be really helpful.
Thank you. Hey, Tadi, go for it.
I think this question is really interesting because it's twofold and it really depends a lot on like personal self-reflection. So like Nifemi said, my parents weren't very familiar with the system, but my mom is actually a guidance counselor at the elementary level, not the high school level. So she was able to offer some insights into things like the volunteering. So she was able to give me options or like advise, like, oh, you can volunteer here. This is a good place to volunteer. When I was doing my clubs, they were also very helpful in terms of like Nifemi was saying, pick up, drop off, all of those kind of like waiting after school. Like sometimes I would have practice until 3 or 4 p.m. They would be like, okay, things like DECA, which I don't even think they fully understand what I was doing when I was waiting after school. But nevertheless, she would just sit in the parking lot and wait for me to be done. And so your parents, or like in general, they may not fully understand what it is that you're doing, but that willingness to wait for you and to be patient and to be helpful is so important, because it's very demotivating when you're trying to do something and you have a goal that you're trying to achieve and there's people who should be supporting you are acting as blockades. So when parents are very understanding of why their child is waiting behind, or they may need a couple of extra minutes to finish something up, that's really helpful. In terms of academics, my older sister, she's 3 years older than me. So she also had gone through high school. And I found in terms of academics, she was very, very, very helpful because she had gone through the university application process herself and she had gone through high school herself. So being able to rely on her was very, very, very meaningful for me. And so I know other people may not have siblings, but if you can use your parents, and the Nigerian community is very small, very tight knit. And so it's likely that your parents know someone who's gone through it, who can advise you, or you can watch this streaming and you can tune into LSI and see what we have to say. But trying to learn from others who have already done it ahead of you and learning from their mistakes can also be really beneficial.
Thank you, Moise.
Both what Nifemi and Nate that is said so far, I think that resonates with me. I also say like parents, I think they're good when it comes to just like if you're having difficulty or if it's just challenging, just being able to talk to your parents is gonna be good sometimes, because like you talk to your friends, but your parents are always they're always with you at home and everything. So talking to them is nice. Or like as I said, siblings. If you have an older sibling that has gone through it, you can ask them how they did these challenges, or how they tackled that stuff. And in terms of academics, like yeah, parents some like if some like I think my daddy's pretty good at math, so like whenever I'd have problems with math, I just ask him stuff, and he would walk me through it. He was pretty good at it, and like just being able to talk with them, they help with that stuff.
Thank you, Fikun. Nothing? Okay. I know Naomi missed that question, so I'm just going to move on to the next question. And that is, so I know Daniel isn't here, but I know that at a point in grade 11, I think that was the first term, he walked up to myself and his dad and said to us, I think I need a tutor for advanced functions. And we're like, oh, okay. He has never asked for this before. So for us, it was, oh, good. At least he was able to walk up to us to tell us that was something he needed, right? And we started looking for, then eventually we found one, which he worked with for about 2 months. Then he came back and said, you know what, I'm good. I don't need this guy anymore. And after that period, when we went in for midterms review with the school, with the, advanced functions teacher, we had a one-on-one, and he had good things to say, and the grades were good. Now, I know that sometimes it's difficult for parents to understand and to realize that, you know what, my child needs help in a particular area. So I want us to also talk about it in that regard. Did you ever feel at any point that you needed help in regards to any of your courses? And how did you approach it? Did you walk up to your parents? Would you have preferred your parents to have been involved from day one so they kind of notice what's going on? Or you feel it's better to walk up and say, you know what, I need help, and this is what I need help with? Fikun, let's start from you.
Okay, so I didn't meet my parents necessarily, but I tried to find help around my school and online. So I went to YouTube, I searched, I went to different websites to try to help with math, physics. I went to the teachers themselves. I also went to I asked students in, grade 12, I asked for their tests, just so I can have an idea of, what the teachers, questions are like, what to study for the next test. And also, again, go to your teachers, ask them to help you, explain to you. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you for giving that tips. Nifemi, go ahead, please.
So I think that it would be nice to say, yes, I want my parents involved, but if your parents also have work, they have their own life, So I think having your parents check in would be nice. Like, oh, how's this course going? Are you doing okay? Do you need any support from us? Fine. But I think by the time you're in grade 11 and grade 12, it's more of a self-responsibility thing. And I felt comfortable enough going to my parents and being like, you know what, I'm really, really struggling with this concept. I do think that I need extra help, right? And I think for me personally, and I think for a lot of us, by the time we get to telling our parents that this is really going bad, we've probably tried other avenues. Like Fikun said, we've probably talked to other people in the school. We've probably asked our friends to explain this concept 20 million times. We've probably gone to the teacher and we're still not understanding it. YouTube, of course. So by the time, and I want parents to keep in mind, like by the time your child's probably coming to you and being like, you know what, this is something I'm really struggling with, I've tried, take it seriously, because they've probably done their best to already be independent about solving this problem and doing well. But they truly feel like I've done everything I can, I need some support. So to sort of summarize, parents check in, try to just keep checking in. You probably won't be able to understand all of the nitty gritty, but also trust that if your child is coming to you at a certain point, that it's something that they really need your support with.
Thank you, Itadi.
Just kind of building on that, not necessarily on the tutoring piece, but one thing I had to learn coming into high school is, at least at the grade 11 and 12 level, the focus is no longer on the memorization of topics, it's about the application. And again, in the Nigerian education system, I've heard very frequently that the focus is on, can you recite what you've been told by the professor? And that's not really the case at the high school level, at least in the Ontario system. And so if you feel that you're struggling with a course, a tutor might be really, really helpful indeed, but it may also be helpful to say like, okay, how am I studying? And is the way that I'm studying the most effective? So when I shifted away from trying to just memorize all the concepts and memorize how to do it and memorize how other people were doing things, to making sure that I had a thorough understanding of the problems and the principles. And even if that problem and principle was taken into a different context or abstracted out, I would still be able to explain and solve the problem. I saw a stark, like drastic increase in my grades and my performance. And I think one of the best ways to do that, like Fikun said, is to use past papers. At least in the IB program, there's several past papers online of the ways exams are written. And so practicing those and making sure that you're able to apply the same concept multiple times in different scenarios can really help validate whether or not you're studying in a way that makes sense before you decide if you need a tutor to supplement the way that you're studying.
Thank you. Naomi?
I just want to build on to what Nifemi was saying. I hope that most parents do realize that approaching them is always a very last resort, especially for us like children of immigrants. Like at the end of the day, most of the time it's you hear, oh, the person who has a 98 doesn't have two heads. So obviously you're not gonna want to them. Like they're saying, oh well, what this person, what about that person? And like I feel like within Nigerian, like it's always like even just Black excellence in general, it's like be the best, do the best, it should come to you. I don't know why you're struggling with this, like you should just, like just do it. Like that's all it is. That's all there is to it. There's no other way. You must, right? And so with that pressure comes obviously fear, like a great sense of fear. And especially if you're one of those that was like gifted their whole life, and then you get to high school and you're like, oh shoot, like I actually have to study, I actually have to do this homework. Like going to that transition and like being like, oh, like this isn't even enough, I even have to like need extra help more than everything I'm already doing. It can be really discouraging and it's scary, right? So most times I always say like check in on your kids. Most times the kids who even do come up to you, they're even bold, they're brave. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And for me, it was my class that I struggled with, where I had this experience was functions. So eventually my parents were like, what's going on? Because they were seeing like my progress reports. They were like, what's going on? Like, this isn't you. And eventually was like, okay, let's get you a tutor. Let's see what we can do. Let's talk to your teacher. And just having them come in and take over like was honestly really relieving. Because like I was like, I actually don't know what I'm gonna do. Like this is just not going well. So yeah, always if you are able, like build it up within yourself, go talk to them as soon as possible before it's too late and you have to work extra hard, and basically you're looking at online grade calculators talking about you need 100% on the exam to course. So yeah.
Thank you, Moise.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna add like a little bit to what Itade said about applying what you learn. I was just gonna say like a lot of the tests, even now in university, the stuff they teach you, it's like they teach you that the actual questions will be like a big problem. You have to apply it. It's not just memorizing the process or whatever. It's just being able to actually apply to like a larger situation or scenario. But yeah, less memorization, more application.
Yeah, Nifemi, go ahead.
Sorry, I just also wanted to add that I know education is really, really important and you want your kid to always be the best and the brightest. But remember what it was like to be in school. Even my parents, sometimes when they see my sister working or see me working, they'd be like, it's not easy to be a student, right? So what Naomi was saying about you'd be like, oh, those people don't have two heads, or reading won't kill you, da-da-da-da-da. True, hard work. The saying is hard work doesn't kill. And yes, it's good to work hard, but parents should also have a little bit of empathy and sympathy for their kids and remember what it was like to be in school and have that pressure, and be supportive. Don't just tell your kid, oh, work harder or you'll be fine or da-da-da-da-da. Be, the presence for them so that they're able to be at the top of their class. If you get what I'm saying, it can't just be you'll be fine or anything like that. They need the support to be able to do that.
Thank you, all of you. Like when wasn't it Femi that was talking about dishes and all that, and I laughed if you saw me, because I very much believe that the kids too should do dishes manually the way we do it from back home. So it got to a point where I now realized that they were getting so much involved in, they had so much going on for me. I began to feel guilty for allowing them come back after a long day from school and everything and say go wash the dishes. So I told them, we normally would normally have family meetings in my house a lot. So I called a meeting and I said, it's time that you guys now can now begin to use the washing, the dishwasher. And everybody was like, really, Mom, we can use it. And because like you said, I realized that I couldn't continue that way because it wasn't fair. And there were times that even though I knew that they were meant to do dishes, I could understand that they were tired. I could understand that they've had a long day. So I would excuse it and I would get there myself and do the dishes myself because I knew that that was me supporting them, right? So I think it's just us parents having to realize what time they're in, what season they're in, and how we're able to help. And I also want to say, maybe it's because of me, maybe it's because I'm interested in teens, in young adults, but I do my research. If you go to the Ontario government education government website, if you're in any of the provinces, you would find out what they are required, what requirements your kids need to graduate. You would find out every basic information that you need to know about their education is right there. If you want to, go the science way, you would see the prerequisite there. If you want to go the medical way, you want to go the computer. So I'm always sitting with my son to say, okay, I have a spreadsheet. What are we doing? Where are we at? What is the next step? So it's important that we as parents try to support and get involved as much as we can, and I also believe that we shouldn't wait till the last minute, right? We shouldn't wait till grade 11 and 12 because these are the most important, grades when it comes to them being in high school. Let's start from grade 9. I'm so much involved in my school's school. Like I go for all parent council meetings. I am on the parent council. When they need volunteers in their school, I go there to volunteer because the more I get involved, the more I get information about what my child needs to succeed, about information that are profitable to him. Sometimes I come home and I'm asking about that. And it's like, oh, Mom, how did you know about that? I'm like, yeah, we were discussing about it today in school. There was a time I went for lunch, or was it dinner, with some of his, because I volunteered. Then they invited us parents to come have a drink with the teachers, and they were talking, and I got home and I was, talking about those things. When I was like, how did you know that? How did you know that? I'm like, well, I know somehow, so let's try as much as possible to get involved in the school, within the school community, and also encourage our children to get involved as well. If there's nothing that I can take away from what we've done today, is that your child actually has to be out there within the school community. They can only get what they need if they put themselves out there. The teachers have a lot of students they're dealing with. The guidance counselors have a lot of students they're dealing with. They will only remember that child that keeps coming, that has value, that is in their faces. So please make sure that you encourage your child, you push them out there. I know some of us will say, oh, my child is an introvert, my child doesn't like talking, my child doesn't like associating. But you know what? In this regard, they need to. Now, finally, before we go, I know we've talked a lot about grade 11 and grade 12. Now, a lot of parents have asked, my child is just about to get into high school, and that's grade 9. And they're a little bit scared. They're a little bit overwhelmed right now. What do you have to say to those students? And anybody that's willing to go, please go for it. I'll start with Naomi.
Honestly, I always say go in with for grade 8s going to grade 9, anyone already in grade 9, they're just finding their footing. I always say to go in with a positive mindset and just ready to work and just show up, right? The best thing you can do for yourself is to show up, to be there, not just to show up, but to show up for yourself in a way that you're I'm here to ensure my future success. Right? I'm not just showing up to sit in the back of the class and just not pay attention, scroll on my phone. I'm showing up, I'm sitting somewhere closer to the teacher, I'm asking questions, I'm paying attention, I'm taking notes, I'm talking to people in the halls. I'm talking to teachers. I'm literally friends with my principal. Like I see him and I don't even call him Mr. Danny. It's Hey Danny. You know what I mean? So things like that, like just having that rapport with people in the school community, even if it's not for like something academic or even an extracurricular, but just being a recognizable, a friendly face, like that wins you awards. They'll give you money for these things. Like I don't think people understand how important it is, because not only is it going to lead to your success and help you be better as a student and a person, but like people actually award you for these things, and it's so easy. You just have to be there, and you know what I mean. So essentially, I say go, be yourself, join clubs, talk to people, do whatever you can to be as social as possible, even if you're dreading it inside.
Thank you so much. Nifemi.
Yeah, I think the big jump between grade 8 and grade 9 is your schedule change. So in grade 8, you're sort of with one teacher and they teach you the same subject. But in high school, you have 4 classes, 4 different teachers, and you transition between your classes. And so that can be a pretty big jump, getting used to like, okay, this is how this works now. You also have a lot more freedom. Like you're able to go out for lunch, everything like that. So my biggest tip in grade 9 is just don't get too caught up. Like, yes, have your fun, get used to the schedule, but keep in mind you're in there to learn. And you have 4 different teachers. So adapt and learn to their teaching styles and their testing styles as well. I think that's really important in grade 9, learning how to adapt your work to your teacher and their expectations. That's really important to do well. And I think grade 9 is really just about finding, like Naomi said, like finding your footing. Okay, how does this schedule work? How does this teacher do? How am I going to spend my lunches? Just figure out what this new structure looks like for you, and don't put too much pressure on yourself because it's grade 9. And ultimately grade 9 does not have the largest effect on grade 12 or university. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not do as well in a course that you wanted to, because again, you're still just getting used to everything. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just figure out what you as a student look like in this new environment. And once you figure that out and you set that pat and you know how you study, you know your teachers, it'll help you as you go through the higher grades when you get more things added on.
Thank you so much, Moise.
Yeah, everything that's been said so far is pretty good. I also like say mostly just get involved. Try and like look at clubs or teams that might interest you. You just meet new people. You like build your network, and I guess just make more friends, make some opportunities for the future. And I'd also start looking into like maybe volunteering or just like finding ways to just get involved and everything. You don't need to. You still should focus on grades, but like ultimately, it's like your grade 9 grades won't they don't like heavily influence your grade 12 or like your final grades. So like I just mostly use grade 9 to just get involved in your school and like become familiar. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Intadi.
I think I would just say like to use that first year to push yourself and find what you're really passionate about. So like everyone else has said, you don't have to make decisions about your career in grade 9, but it's good to start just thinking not even about like what job do I want to have, but what do I care about? What makes me excited? What motivates me? And then like Muse and Nifemi and everyone else has said, look for opportunities to engage in those types of things and look for ways to build the skills that you want to have. So whether it be doing DECA or case competitions or writing competitions, things that will build skills that your future self will be really happy that you have later on. I think that professional development piece, it's really important to start working on that in grade 9.
Thank you, darling. Fikun.
I don't really have much to say because I didn't do grade 8 here. But I would say get involved, join your school council, because I'm not sure about other schools, but my school, anybody can just show up and join, the school council. That helps with a lot of, informations about the school, opportunities that you could get, because it's through that I was able to apply for student trustee and I was able to get the position. So I'd say get involved. Go if you need to, if you're not confident, for someone who's shy, get involved in the school council. If you need to build team spirit, join a sport. Just try and find that thing that you're lacking, and look for a community, a place that can help you grow in that area.
Thank you so much. We have a question here, but I think we've answered anyway, but I'm going to read it in case anyone feels you want to say something in that regards. The question says, I love what you said when what you said. We need to support when your kids are studying. Can you help me out on what kind of support would you prefer? Just need some specifics. Good job, guys. So I think we actually didn't mention that support your child in any way you feel the child will need support. And that means communicating with the child, right? You would only know what exactly the child needs at a specific time if you have that communication with that child. And also allow, somebody did mention a very valid point, and that's that we all say those people that have 100% don't have two heads, but really we know that it is not easy to also have 100%. So allow them that a little bit of, laxity, and let them be free enough and comfortable enough to be able to approach you when they have any issues in school, with any of their courses, with any students, with any teacher, so that you can now know when to actually support and how to support. So I think we have answered that question. So I want to say a big thank you once again to this amazing panel that I have here today. Thank you for all that you do for your community. We love you and we appreciate you. And for everybody that have joined us today, thank you so much. For those that are going to watch later, we say thank you as well. And I have a question. How do you find a balance with the use of phones? Do we want to take that? We're just about rounding up because we're on over an hour. I think we're going to have to take that as a topic on its own, right? The use of devices, and as young adults and teens, we're going to have a discussion about that. But just quickly, I see that we had 2-3 hands up. Please, anybody that's willing to take it, unmute yourself and go for it.
Okay, so for the ban of phones for the elementary school, I feel like yes, I fully support that. They shouldn't be having their phones in class. They could have it during like recess or after school, but like during classes, they shouldn't be with their phones. And for high school students, the same thing, right? But some people might say, oh, we need to learn, how to be able to balance, like work-life balance or something like that, But I do still feel that, phones should be banned during classes. So, to help people to like listen in class, try to understand, ask questions in class, be more involved in class.
Thank you. Nobody else? Okay. So thank you everyone once again. We are grateful for joining us. We will be here again in another 2 weeks with another amazing topic. Have a good rest of your day and stay safe. Bye.